Hello and welcome to another wonderful video. Today I'm going to be discussing Watch Dogs 2 and more or less giving my opinion and thoughts on it. Consider this kind of a review, but it's overall I'm not going to give like a 8 out of 10 or like a 5 out of 10. I'm not going to give it like a rating. I'm basically just going to review everything and kind of tell you my thoughts on everything. I'm going to be splitting it into different parts and stuff. So I want to start with the story itself, and from there we'll go on to other sections and stuff like the side activities and the weapons and other miscellaneous stuff. So let's start with story. The first Watch Dogs had a much better story, in my own personal opinion. Now, a lot of people, I'm not going to say a lot of people, but I've heard where people have said that the first story was very lackluster and it wasn't that great or fun or interesting or anything like that. Now, I honestly disagree. Now, the reason I disagree is because in Watch Dogs 2, I didn't really feel involved with the story at all. It was usually the same thing over and over again. You know, big company is working with Bloom, stealing data to do some fishy stuff or illegal stuff. So you have to go to this company or whatever, be it Noodle or whatever else. You go there, you hack this thing to try and prove it, and then you release a video about like literally proving what this company is doing, and then you get followers for that, and that's basically it. That's basically every mission. I described every mission basically. Now, the only change of pace that I can really think of, that I can really remember, is this one part where you steal a car at the beginning of the game, more or less. You steal this car for a joyride through the city, and I don't really know why you do it, to be honest. It doesn't really seem like it was that super important. I mean, they do it for followers because that's basically what they're doing a lot of these missions for, but you do it for followers, but overall it doesn't really feel like it means anything. It didn't feel like it mattered. I mean, I gotta be honest, it was pretty fun, but in the end, it wasn't like important. It didn't feel important. I didn't feel involved in it or anything. Now, the other side mission that I can really think of that was a change of pace was the spider tank mission near the end, where you basically take control of this spider bot. It's basically the spider tank from the original Watch Dogs, but it's like in real life now. It's not just like this simulation thing that you do. And yeah, it's pretty fun. This whole spider tank thing mission was pretty fun, but in the end, it didn't stay as a mini game. That it just, once that mission is over, you never get to play as a spider tank again, as far as I'm aware. Now, another thing that I really want to mention is the characters, and the fact that I can't really remember the characters all that much, and I definitely don't relate to the characters that much. I do relate to one of the characters, but I forgot his name. That's, you know, I don't really remember the character's name that much, which says a lot because, you know, I'm still finishing a few of the side missions in Watch Dogs 2. I'm still playing through Watch Dogs 2, so it's definitely saying a lot that I can't really remember the characters that well. Speaking of side missions, there is a side mission where you save, and I'm doing this in air quotes, you save Aiden from a no-named, faceless, boring gang/group, and in the mission, all you really do is sneak into this room, hack a camera, and then he mostly frees himself. Then you never see him again, which is, I mean, thank God, because what the hell is that thing? It doesn't look like Aiden at all. Aiden does not look like Aiden at all in this game. And beside that, they don't really explain why he's in San Francisco, other than the fact that he's here, you know, fighting off this nameless gang or whatever. Which the gangs in this game are pretty pathetic. The gangs make no real sense in the game. They're not really there for anything. They're basically glossed over as nothing more than obstacles. Now, in the first Watch Dogs, you really get involved with a gang. I think you actually completely take down an entire gang in the original Watch Dogs, which was incredible. I mean, Aiden, he puts an end to this entire game. Now, why does he put an end to this game? Because the story demands it. It's part of the story. And Aiden, he is a badass vigilante. Now, why can't I be a vigilante in Watch Dogs 2? Why can't I be a hero in Watch Dogs 2? Sure, I'm exposing these companies, you know, and stuff like that, but I'm not really doing anything about the gang problem or rescuing anyone in general. Like, there's actually scenes in the game where, you know, not necessarily scenes in the game, but there's parts in the game where the NPC is getting, like, more or less bullied by another NPC, and harassed by another NPC, I guess I should say, but you can't really do anything about it, and there's no reason to either. Like, it doesn't give you a reason to care. So overall, the story in Watch Dogs 2 left me wanting more in a bad way. It was short, repetitive, and I didn't really care about any of the characters overall. I also didn't really care about what I was doing, like, oh, this company's doing this big bad thing, you know. It didn't really draw me into the story. It made me it didn't really do a good job of making me care about the mission that I was trying to accomplish. Now, there is this one part in where a gang kills your friend. You know, that's part of your small group here. So you go about trying to destroy all of their drugs and messing up this gang, but you don't really do anything about the gang itself. Now, when you're doing all of this, you're doing it for revenge, not because the gang itself is a problem in the city, which the gang itself is technically a problem in the city, and it was also very easy. I mean, most missions I could beat entirely with just the drones. In fact, the missions where I destroyed the drugs and stuff for that, but like what I was just mentioning, like when we get revenge from the people, I actually defeated that entire thing using nothing but the floating drone. Like literally, it was so easy. I don't know. Like I had a little bit of trouble, you know, at the last, you know, little pile of drugs that they had, but overall, I was able to beat the entire thing with nothing but a drone, so there was no real conflict there. I mean, I had to kind of deal a little bit about, you know, they see my drone, they destroy it, I have to wait for it to revive, you know, because I didn't want to go in there just because I wanted to see if I could do it with the drones, and it was really easy, and I proved that it was really easy with this mission. Anyway, a lot of the missions were really easy at the same time. You know, like I said, some of them could be beaten entirely with just the drones. But the the very last mission that I did in this game, which was the final mission that you do in the game, you sneak into this facility, you're hacking stuff, you know, like you do in every single mission. So there's no real difference in this. Once you get to the end, like you're trying to leave this building or whatever, you get to this main lobby area, and these guards are trying to shoot you down. And I will admit, I had a little bit of trouble here. I had a little bit of trouble trying to fight off these guards. But once I realized that how close I was to the exit and how none of them were near the exit, I was like, I'm just going to run for it. And I ran towards the exit, and I actually was able to, you know, completely run past all the NPCs, dodging all of their bullets, all their attacks and stuff like that. I think I got hit like once or twice that whole time, and I was like, I just beat this mission without, I could have beat this entire mission without killing anyone, basically, is what I took out of that. There was no conflict there. I was literally able to just run away from all the enemies. Now, the game could have had something there that was like, hey, you have to kill all the NPCs, or hey, you can't just like run out. You know, they could have stopped me in some way by maybe adding more guards up there near the stairs or something. I don't really know, but I was able to just completely walk out, and I think that says a lot about the campaign itself, the story mode of this game. The fact that you're able to more or less do all that. You know, there is a few moments in the story mode as well that I want to say that did make me feel a little good. You know, like right after that mission goes down, you go to this big baddie that's been kind of behind the scenes more or less for most of the game, and you basically expose him. That's what you were doing in this last facility. You expose him, and you go visit him after you do this, and there's like a phone call, and there's I don't know, that whole scene where you're like there, like you get to see him get arrested and stuff. I don't know about what it was exactly, but that was pretty satisfying. There's another thing too where Ray finally shows up in the game, and I was honestly shocked and surprised by that. I really loved that they added Ray to this game. I thought that was really nice. You know, the Aiden Pierce side mission thing, I really liked that too, but in the end it was terrible. I definitely would have liked something better for him. You know, there was one part where I was like, I'm going to go look for Aiden Easter eggs and stuff, so I went to a graveyard and found something, but that's besides the point. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the story of the game. It pretty much sums up in the fact that it left me wanting more in a bad way. Anyway, moving on. So NPCs. Now, the NPCs in this game, in Watch Dogs 2, they actually have great NPCs in this game. Honestly, I don't know why no one's bringing this up or like talking about it. Maybe they did back when the game was more new. But there's so many times where I'll just be minding my own business, you know, either walking down the sidewalk trying to get to another destination or driving or something. And I see this random guy with a bat, and he starts smashing a car, or I'll see a random guy pushing around a girl or something like that. And now you can't really do anything about this. This isn't Red Dead Redemption 2 or anything, but it makes the city more alive. Now, it's pretty depressing, but it is alive nonetheless. Now, this is kind of like what I was mentioning before, where you can kind of do something about the NPCs, but nothing really happens. Like every time this happens, I usually hit the guy that's, you know, pushing around the girl, and then I end up accidentally hitting the girl itself. So it kind of ends up beating up both of them every single time I've ever gotten into this kind of encounter. That's usually what happened, but it was usually by mistake. But nothing really happens when you do this. You don't get any kind of rewards for this. You don't get like follower experience or whatever. Nothing really happens. It's just like, it's there to kind of show you that this city is pretty bad and that we really need to do something about it, but you can't do anything about it. But you're not allowed to be a hero in this game, and that's something that it really bothers me about this game, that you can't be a hero. And I don't know what it is, but the first Watch Dogs, the fact that you could be a hero, the fact that you were a vigilante was so appealing to me. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to the setting. Now, I'm mixed how I feel about the setting of this game. Now, neither map in Watch Dogs or Watch Dogs 2 really seems to be larger. Now, you could argue and say that Watch Dogs 2 is, but I would honestly have to disagree because everything is separated by huge, long bridges, and most of the map is water. Like, I think half the map is just water. They do have Alcatraz up there in the water, and they do have some kind of random cruise in the water, but there's really no incentive to go there. There is a little bit of incentive to go to the cruise because you can steal money there, but that's pretty much it. But yeah, there's everything's separated by really long bridges. And yeah, I mean, there's not really anything else to say here other than that it's super colorful and bright. You know, I do love that. You know, overall, it's kind of boring until you really find the right reasons to explore this world. And there are some reasons to explore in this world, I gotta say. You know, I do find myself exploring this world more than I did in the original Watch Dogs, but that's only because I found something that basically pushed me to try and explore more. And it was a total fluke that I found this too. I may be showing gameplay of that right here, right now, so hopefully I will add that in there and you can kind of see what I found. Anyway, moving on. Watch Dogs 2 has much better hacking. Now, in Watch Dogs 2, everything is hackable. You know, you have NPCs, you can hack their phones to steal money from them, call the police on them, get a gang after them, that sort of thing. There's cars that you can hack. You can make them go forward, backwards, make them turn and stuff. Like, there's really cool stuff you can do with that. There's forklifts and cranes. There's cranes in this game, guys. You can hack cranes in Watch Dogs 2, and I think they really stepped up the hacking for Watch Dogs 2. And the music in this game, it's pretty good, I guess. I for some reason still kind of lean a little bit more towards the original Watch Dogs, but I do like the music that's in Watch Dogs 2, obviously. Now, controlling the radio or the music app in this game, it's pretty annoying and difficult if you're driving. Like, if you're driving while trying to mess with the radio and stuff like that in this game, it's basically impossible. You have to hold down the gamepad and then like move over the right analog stick, and that's hard to do while you're driving because you can't really kind of control which direction you're driving when you do that. So you have to basically be driving straight when you mess with the radio, or you have to be at a stop, and that's really annoying, the fact that I have to do this like weird process to mess with the radio in the game. And this is something that I wanted to throw in here because it's definitely a huge gripe with me and stuff like that. So moving on. I briefly mentioned one side mission where you save Aiden, but what else is there to do? Well, there's a lot of races, you know, there's drone races, bike races, but as far as the actual side missions go, some get me interested enough to complete, and the others are annoying and way too long. I shouldn't complain though, since there isn't really a whole lot of side mission variety, or really a whole lot of side missions in general in the first Watch Dogs. But where Watch Dogs lacked this, there was Spider Tank and all these digital trips that you can do, and those are really fun. Now, this Watch Dogs 2 doesn't really have those, so I'm really going to miss Spider Tank and all those mini games in the first Watch Dogs. Though, I mean, they're a whole lot of fun, and they're one of the things that definitely keep me, you know, coming back to the first Watch Dogs. And, you know, I haven't really been able to find anything like that in this Watch Dogs. You know, like I mentioned, there was a Spider Tank mission where you get to play as a Spider Tank, but after that, you never mess with the Spider Tank again. But yeah, hopefully I'm just missing something though, and I haven't been able to find this Spider Tank thing or whatever this mini game is that's going to keep me coming back and back and back because it's addicting. Just like in Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs had, you know, the Spider Tank. It was a really addictive, fun little mini game within the game itself, and this Watch Dogs doesn't necessarily have that. Anyway, moving on to something else I really want to mention real quick before I move on to weapons. Police are much more difficult to deal with in this game. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they like upped their difficulty, but police are a lot more difficult to deal with in this game. I'm not really sure why. I did kind of there are cases where I'm able to escape very, very easily, and I'm like, well, maybe the police aren't that difficult. But then it's like there's hundreds after you, and it's like you can't really escape because there's another one around the corner, and then there's another one around this corner, you know, and there's no real way to go. I don't really know why that's the case, you know. And the first Watch Dogs, it was actually kind of easy to get away with. Maybe they took the idea that, you know, it's really easy for us to get away with crimes and stuff in the original Watch Dogs, so we need to kind of change that a little bit and make it more difficult to in Watch Dogs 2. Maybe that's what the thought process was, but police are more difficult to deal with in Watch Dogs 2, and that's something I thought I would mention. I'm not really sure if that's a bad thing or a good thing yet, so just thought I'd throw that in there. So onto weapons, you can really only carry 2 weapons and 2 grenades versus several guns and several grenades and stuff like that in the first one. You know, the first one you had IEDs, you know, you had the grenades, you had lures, you had proximity IEDs. There's 4 right there. There's more too, but that's pretty much the ones off the top of my head. Gunplay is basically the same. You know, the weapon wheel is a lot harder to get used to. I still find myself pressing the wrong button all the time. Infinite taser ammo, and the taser itself is pretty great. I really love the taser. I really love that you get that. So basically you get 3 weapons, but one of them is the taser, and you can't really ever replace it. So you can only ever carry 2 weapons at a time. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but from my playthrough, from everything I've done, I'm pretty much beat the game at this point. There's only like a few side missions and stuff that I need to complete. I haven't been able to find any way to carry more than these 2 weapons. So, and the only way that I've been able to find to like equip these weapons is to either pick them up off the ground, which replaces the one you're holding, or go to one of your HQs and 3D print one. And yeah, I just think the whole thing is a little bit weird. I don't really know what the deal is with all of this, but I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want you using a lot of weapons in this game, and I don't know. I'm definitely gonna miss, you know, the weapon variety from the original Watch Dogs. So in conclusion, maybe it's my emotional connection to the first Watch Dogs, given the events going on in my life around the time that I played it, but I feel more drawn to it for all the reasons I've mentioned so far in this video, and perhaps even something greater I can't really explain. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video, this little review kind of thing. If you liked it, make sure to like, subscribe, you know, share, do those wonderful things, because when you do those wonderful things, you get access to wonderful content. But not just that, you get to become wonderful yourself. Anyway, thank you for watching however you watched, and remember to stay wonderful.